Hello again. In this video, I'm going to go over section R4, which is about polynomials and multiplication of radicals. Now, there are 5 objectives in this section, and we're only going to look at the first objective in this video, which is about identifying key elements of a polynomial. And so the first thing we're going to look at is the definition of a polynomial written in terms of x. So a polynomial written in terms of x looks like this. The a sub n is the coefficient in front of the x raised to the n term, and then a sub n minus 1 is the coefficient in front of x raised to the n minus 1, and so on and so forth until you get to the last few terms of the polynomial. And so a sub 1 is the coefficient in front of the x raised to the first power term, and then the constant term is labeled as a sub 0. So these a sub n's, a sub n minus 1's, those are called coefficients. And the reason we're labeling them as such is so that we know that it's the coefficient in front of a particular term. So that's why we use a sub n, and that's a subscript, okay? We use a sub n to denote the coefficient in front of the x sub n term. Okay, that's why we're using that notation. Now, these coefficients have to be real numbers. And then these exponents, like the n, x to the n, that the n is the exponent. And then the next exponent would be n minus 1, and then the next one would be n minus 2, and then eventually you'll get to an exponent of 1. And then this one has actually an exponent of 0. This is x to the 0 power, which is equal to 1. And so we don't have to write it there. There's like an imaginary 1 for that particular term. Those have to be whole numbers, though. These exponents are whole numbers. They can't be fractions or anything like that. They're whole numbers. So remember, whole numbers are the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, so in order for this to be a polynomial, you would have to have something like x raised to the 5th power. You can't have x raised to the 2/3 power. Okay, so these exponents have to be whole numbers. Now, this term here is called the leading term. In other words, the term with the largest exponent, that's called the leading term. The coefficient in front of this leading term is called the leading coefficient, right? So a sub n is called the leading coefficient. And then the degree of a polynomial is the exponent n, the one with the highest exponent. Okay, that's called the degree of the polynomial. Now, if a polynomial only has one term, then it's called a monomial. Mono meaning one. If it has 2 terms, it's called a binomial. And if it has 3 terms, it's called a trinomial. So this right here has 3 different terms, so that's called a trinomial. Whereas this one right here only has 1 term, and so that's a monomial. This is a monomial, and this is a monomial as well. Now, the degree of each term in your polynomial is the sum of the exponents on the variable factors. So, for example, the degree of this term right here would be 11, because that's what you get when you add up the 2 exponents on the variables, right? 4 plus 7. This term has a degree of 7, because that's what you get when you add up those 2 exponents. And then this one has degree 5, because x is being raised to the first power, so it's 1 plus 4. And so when you look at a polynomial, sometimes we'll talk about the degree of one of the terms. Okay, so this polynomial here has 3 different terms, and each of these terms has a degree associated with it. This one is degree 11, this one is degree 7, and this one's degree 5. Okay, and then so each term we can describe by telling what the degree of the term is, but then the degree of the polynomial overall is the highest degree of any of the terms. So since 11 is the highest degree of any of the terms, this is said to be an 11th degree polynomial. Okay, I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.